Good morning, Rimworlders. Thanks for tuning in. I just kind of got up myself, man. I just got done making some coffee, and here I am, I guess. My other screen, I have another Trump rally. He's got three today. One in Pennsylvania, I think one in where was it? I know that there's one in Georgia, and I think that's the one that's later tonight. But I think there was one maybe in Michigan or something. He's doing a lot of campaigning out there in those states because I guess those are the battleground states. Man, I have no idea how all this is going to shake out. I don't know what to think about it all. I know that I'm a diehard Trump supporter, and I love the guy, and I think he's got his flaws, man. But I think underneath it all, he's the only uh, candidate that really seems to be legitimately caring about the direction this country's in. Excuse me. But with that being said, man, I know that the press loves to give Kamala a bunch of shit too. I mean, we all know how these things play out. I'd like to believe that she's a decent person. I mean, I know that I've heard stuff about her, on in the various programs I listen to, and all the crosstalk that you read online, and all this stuff about her. It's like all the stuff that you see about both her and him. It really gets atrocious. All of the personal attacks, all of the ad hominem, all the crap, man. It's just like, my God. Sometimes I wonder, would it be best to just not to like outlaw campaigning and just whenever the time comes to vote, just go in and pick someone, you know? Oh man. But that being said, though, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't know how it's all going to shake out, but just like with, I mean, hell, with 2016, I don't know if I saw the same thing in 2016, but I know that in 2020, we saw tons and tons and tons of people showing up to these rallies and doing all these Trump convoys that you see rolling through towns and stuff, and all the yard signs and all the hats and all the blah blah blahs. It's like, oh my God, only to see him apparently lose. Now, again, looking back at all of that crap that went down, who knows how much cheating happened. But you'd have to be a fool to think that there wasn't at least some cheating. And the question becomes, how much of the cheating was there, and did it constitute the actual win for Biden in 2020? Those are, in my opinion, those are the most imperative questions about everything that went down back then. Because I'm sure that every election has some cheating, but how much of it is actually swaying the result? I mean, you could theoretically say that no matter how much cheating is happening, if the person wins that potentially wasn't the person believed to win, well, then that was probably enough cheating to take care of the election. So I don't know. I don't know, man. What do I know? I'm just a Midwestern hick that's out in the middle of nowhere. It's providing his own 2 cents, and in a way, there's comfort in that because I don't want to be one of those types of internet personalities that's sitting here rambling off statistics like the back of his hand or some shit. All I know is who I voted for, and all I know is who I want to win. And I definitely want Trump to win, but I'm not naive enough to suspect that he's got this all in the bag either. I know that Kamala has plenty of supporters too. I've seen some of her events, and they had some crazy turnout as well. So just don't know, man. I know that Kamala's got a lot more support from Hollywood though than Trump does. And of course, there's all sorts of ways that we can dissect all that. But I know that last night or the day before or whenever it was, Harrison Ford came out with a big blah blah about being all about Kamala and how Trump's administration is sounding alarms and telling us not to vote for him and blah 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 blah. It's like, okay, dude, just go back to your frickin' Indiana Jones. Anyway, wasn't trying to get on a tangent there, but I just think this is all kind of nutso. So, I hope your Sundays are going good, or Sunday is going good. Finally got some rest last night. That was pretty nice. I think I went to bed last night at around like 2 o'clock, but despite that, I woke up at around 9 or something like that. Kind of cat napped for about an hour. Woke up, made my coffee, and here I is. So let's get going. Now, if you weren't here on the last episode, for the last episode, I've started to flesh out some of the stuff in the ring here, and the first main room here is going to be kind of like a split between rec and dining. Now, what I'm wanting to do is buy a couple of those huge big screen TVs like that one that we have in here, this guy. I wish I could make those, but apparently I can't. You know, that's kind of silly too if you think about it. I can make freaking sculptor pods, but I can't make a fucking television. Seriously. So anyway, I've got to hold off on some trades to see if anybody winds up bringing any of those. I can buy off of them. Because if and when they do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like basically one on each wall right here, or each side of the wall. Basically two, in other words. And as you can see here, we're going to have two dining tables. There's a patch of blue carpet that's being placed down, and I'm going to put, like, I'm thinking I'm going to put two pool tables, a couple chess boards, and some poker tables, as well as some couches and stuff in here, facing the wall. Whenever we have the TV and stuff, they can come in here and crash. I think it'll be kind of cool. I'm going to put some lights and stuff like that in here too at some point. In fact, maybe I should go ahead and do that now. Let's see here. Now I'm thinking that once we move all of these bedrooms and stuff into that ring, that's going to make up some room for whatever we want. And basically, I'm thinking that maybe we can eventually move some of the stuff in there. It's going to be a bit away, but eventually we'll get there, I think. Ends party. Pate. So they're all indoors here. I hate having eclipses when I'm trying to determine when it's day and night. Because the whole time thing on this game is hard to understand. I wish they'd just give you a freaking thing that says, okay, it's 2 o'clock, 3 or 4, whatever. Starting to finally feel like fall where I am. I think overnight it might have been around like, I don't know, upper 40s, mid 50s. And now today I think it's probably around like lower to mid 60s. Always seems to make the coffee taste better for some reason. I don't know why. Damn, it looks like they do have to take that up. Man, I wish I would have known that. Well, I guess now we do know. Gonna have to remember that moving forward. I didn't see them having to rip up the block last time they laid this down. I always assumed that it was just on top of everything. It kind of takes me off a little bit. Yeah, as soon as Rachel finishes that. Please, come on, just get it done. There we go. All right, time to pate. Oh yeah. Hopefully this will boring. Oh, great. It's just fucking great. I was hoping that'd give us a boost long enough to get these guys out of here on a good note, but have about 3 more days left. That little penalty is going to last for about 6 days, so yippee. Oh man. Tell you that slate stone stuff, man, it takes forever. Slate tile. I'm surprised that it takes as long as it does. Tell you what, I'm gonna let this go for a while on the slow mode because I need to go get a coffee refill. Excuse me, I will be right back. Okay, I am back. It's nice that I can at least go get a coffee refill without coming back to a conduit explosion. Waiting on that to happen next. I keep telling you guys that at some point I was going to play Project Zomboid, but I just never do. Part of the reason, man, is just that the game's kind of boring. I mean, it's, don't get me wrong, man, during the initial like start of a new game or whatever, it's super fun because you're running around, you're trying to loot homes and buildings and whatnot for gear, and trying to find a base and stuff like that. And during that initial sequence of events, it's a really, really fun game, but I don't know, man. There's just something that happens after that just it's like the game developers didn't do anything to plan for what happens after that phase. They didn't add any kind of like, I don't know. It's like it needs to have some sort of artificial intelligence incorporated that basically creates a situation where hold on a second here, I'm getting kind of sidetracked. It's like once you do those initial things, the logic that the game was built with didn't anticipate doing anything that dynamically changed how the enemies behave or how the world evolves. These people and their constant fighting, man. It's really fucking old. You know, again, I think the game's really fun. I love it to death, but they just need to do something that fixes that. And I'm trying to think of an example. Like, okay, Skyrim. Almost every computer gamer has played Skyrim by now, man. It's one of the best games that I think has ever been made. And of course, Skyrim also has its little flaws, but for the most part, Skyrim is one of the best games that's ever been made. And one of the reasons for that um, is because one thing that the developers did really well in that game was add mechanics and logic that facilitate replayability in it. Because, like, for example, you can go and beat some sort of little enemy stronghold in that game, like a cave or just whatever. And when you do, you can come back like 15 minutes, I don't know, half an hour from then, and it'll be uh, there will be guys back into it, you know, doing stuff. Now, as far as Skyrim's concerned, that's about as good as it gets when it involves that kind of stuff. So, I mean, even that's not perfect because ideally, what you would like to see in a game, either in a Skyrim type of setting or like this or a Project Zomboid type of setting, you want to see the enemies doing things that you would expect a player character to do. Like the player character can do all the stuff, you know, they can go into buildings, raid stuff, build forts, raise, I don't know, fucking cows, whatever. You want to be able to see the computer being able to do stuff like that. You want to see the computer doing things like planning things out, making their own bases, you know, governing their initiatives the way that a player character does. Because with a player character, uh, they strategize, they plan out how a base is going to be built. They form groups for specific purposes. They do all these things, but 9 times out of 10, with all these games that get made in the gaming market anymore, you don't see stuff like that out of the computer. And I mean, I get it, man. I'm an IT guy, so I fully understand how difficult it must be to do that kind of stuff. But the thing that bothers me about the gaming market or industry or whatever you want to refer to it as is the fact that these shops, they seem to focus solely on graphics. It's always graphics, making something look more realistic all the time with every damn game they come out with, instead of focusing on that other stuff. And as a result, we now have games where you've got like your Project Zomboids or whatever that lack that type of I don't know, development. I mean, I always thought that it would be badass to see something like a Skyrim game or even a Project Zomboid game that actually had artificial intelligence incorporated into it. And not just some sort of chat GPT plug-in module shit. I mean an actual, you know, diligently designed type of artificial intelligence that incorporates into the game the way that it needs to be incorporated into. With Skyrim, I mean, they've done some of that type of stuff, but it's always like via some sort of module or some sort of, you know, thing that plugs in Chat GPT, and it's just stupid because you can tell by the responses and how the 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 computer reacts to things that it's just some sort of thing that somebody kind of just plugged in. You know, it's not really something that's being properly baked in. I mean, just imagine Project Zomboid, or hell, just imagine Skyrim with an actual, like I said earlier, diligently designed artificial intelligence that you could actually speak to, and walking through one of the towns, and you can actually have full-on conversations with the locals. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be like the next renaissance of gaming if they ever figure stuff like that out. Especially if they incorporate a good type of vocal synthesizer that actually sounds natural. They're coming pretty close to some of that stuff, but they still have a long ways to go. Or in Project Zomboid, let's say for example, I don't know, man, you're like running through town and you come across an NPC that's trying to fight for their lives as well. And imagine being able to actually carry on a conversation with the person. And imagine then that through the logic and stuff, you learn that they're actually building their own base, and they're making their own forays into towns and other spots to loot. And through time, they get to a point where they have more and more people in their clique, and then they decide to go ahead and try to raid your base. And then you can like take hostages and try to interrogate them to figure out where uh, where their stashes are or something. I mean, the point is that it would be amazing to see that type of development with games. And and the reason it's important is because it provides continuity after the initial sequence of stuff that a player does in the game after they've built their first base and raided a few places. Because you got to have that type of ongoing adaptation or evolution in the games in order to maintain entertainment with them. So they don't have that, man. It's just going to be kind of like a thing where these developers, they need to stop designing to a destination and instead start designing around the journey. And they just don't know how to do that, I don't think. But if they ever figure that out, man, it'll be a completely different type of experience, and it'll be amazing. One thing I would like to do in this whole design stuff is make it to where these rooms, they don't have walls that go like this all the way through. I want to like make them appropriate. You know what I'm saying? Like diagonally or in reference to the actual circle. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but you get the point. So I'm gonna have to kind of keep that in mind. I don't know really what the best way is to do that. I know that this damn place up here though is taking forever. Didn't really think it would take that long. So we'll set these though to be deconstructed. Just about ready for them to get out of here. Like it's always a thing where with these games, when you do one thing, there's never really much of a reaction to it in the wider world. Like with Skyrim, for example, let's say you're walking through a countryside area or maybe through the woods or something, and you come across some sort of encampment by one of those factions that you're in that are basically an enemy. So let's say you take them out, right? There's not really much that happens in the realm of reactions with the wider realm. I mean, there are some things that can kind of affect your reputation, I guess, and that's cool because that's the kind of pathway of design I'm talking about here. But in Skyrim, even it doesn't really go much beyond that. You'll take out an enemy encampment, whatever it is, and the members of that faction will kind of look at you as if you're one of the enemies at some point if you keep doing stuff like that. But that's about as far as it gets. It would make more sense, and I mean sometimes you can have assassins trying to come out and take you out if they come across you or something like that. So I mean that's also a good thing too. So I use Skyrim because it does the best job out of any game I've seen so far in terms of this type of development that I'm talking about. This ongoing long-term game design, I guess, is what we're talking about here. Project Zomboid really has a massive problem with that. But even Skyrim doesn't really do it do a Skyrim doesn't do the best job of it either, despite the fact that they tried to. But the good news is that they at least I think recognize it as being something that the game needs. And it kind of has me excited a little bit for their next iteration in that universe because I'm hoping and praying that they do some of this kind of stuff that we're talking about here, like maybe incorporating some sort of artificial intelligence or something, because that would just be so cool to actually have it like the way it should be. But taking out a faction with Skyrim, not only is it cool, or would it be awesome to see things like the occasional assassin trying to hunt you down and take you out or whatever, but it would be also neat to see something like let's say the enemy faction's main leadership decides to go ahead and even go as far as mounting like a like a small army to come pursue you or something. Or let's say, for example, you get to a point where the locals in the area that are appreciative of what you're doing decide to make you some sort of like um, sheriff or a king or some sort of shit like that. And then from that point on, you can like arrange certain kinds of trade routes, and the locals then expect you to maintain the safety of those trade routes. And if they keep getting attacked, they expect you to raise an army to go and blah blah blah. Stuff like that. I guess all I'm just trying to say here is that a game that is like either Skyrim or Project Zomboid or anything, even Rimworld for that matter, it's got to have that kind of baked in development, I think, to maintain entertainment value. And I think that's something that a lot of these shops haven't really figured out how to do yet because of how difficult it is to do. Rama needs a bedroom, I guess. Give her this one, I guess. Kind of thinking we need to make a butchering zone. 'Cause that shit right there is getting out of hand. Because nobody ever seems to be going over there to do anything about it. Zones are always a pain in the ass to have to mess with, but fortunately, it's kind of a necessary evil. Okay, there's that. Add these. Okay. Suppose we should. They need to be fed, right? So, speaking of animals, have you any of you guys been following that situation of that Karen that reported the couple and their squirrel and raccoon? I guess from what little I understand, there's this woman who decided to narc on this 30 something couple over in New York, I think it is, who apparently had a rescued squirrel named Peanut. And I don't know exactly what precipitated everything because I haven't, done a full on analysis of everything that went down. But the gist is that this Karen chick, she decided to narc on this couple because, or, well, she narked on the couple for having the animals, and as a result, the state came in and euthanized them. And the animals, I mean, from at least according to some of the videos I've seen, excuse me, of the guy that who was the owner of the animals, basically, the animals posed no threat, and the excuse that I heard or that I read that the Karen gave as a result of narking on them was that she was worried about rabies or something. I don't know if I think if I'm getting everything right here, I think the squirrel and the raccoon I think were both rescued by the guy. I guess the squirrel, I guess the mother was hit on a highway or something like that at one point, and somehow he came across it and nursed it and took care of it, and at some point tamed it, I guess. And the videos that I've seen of him playing around with the squirrel and stuff, I mean, it's really kind of sad to see what's happened out of it. But now, as a result, the woman that narked on him, it's just like with every situation like this. She had some social media and stuff that she's now had to take down. Now she's kind of in hiding and stuff. It's just a mess. I tell you, man, it's shit like that that makes me not have social media. YouTube and I visit this website called patriots.win. It's like a pro-Trump type of community forum. That and YouTube are the only social media accounts that I have. used to have a Twitter account, used to have a Facebook account, and it just got to the point where if I wasn't being censored, then apparently I was saying stuff that was always offending others. And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what, man, I just don't need this shit because sooner or later it's going to get me in trouble. And just told it to go fuck itself. It's just not worth it, man. That stuff half the time is designed to get that type of situation going, you know? It's like it's deliberately designed to make people lose jobs and get pissed off at each other and stuff. And I just don't need it, man. I think everybody's kind of wise that decides not to have social media, but you know, to each their own. You know what would be kind of cool with a tool like this? It's having like a paint function where you could like click in a room and it would just automatically zone the space within the perimeter of the walls that the room has. Kind of speed things up a little bit. these sculptor pods in here. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm expecting to put Kaufman on this, I think. And now that I think about this, I'm beginning to wonder what the virtue is, because I'm thinking that this might be too similar to my kitchen detail. I think the one difference, though, is that the kitchen detail has this stuff into it. And I don't think, I mean, I know this one doesn't. So I guess I'm hoping that it'll translate to whoever has this, focusing more on butchering than some of the other stuff. Just giving them a place to walk out at. So let's give that a shot for a while, see how that goes. Put Kaufman on that. Yeah, see, it's not really that different. I'm kind of wondering if it's even really worth messing with, to be honest. It's kind of stupid, I guess, to that's cooking detail. This is butchering. Cooking. Butchering. Cooking. Butchering. I don't know. It's probably not. Yeah, I'm gonna remove it, man. I feel kind of stupid for going through all this and then removing it, but it's just dumb. I guess we're just gonna have to manually tell them to just focus on that. Surprised I haven't had any conduit explosions. So I think we're about due. Set to. All this meat, man. Too quiet, man. I got me on edge. I got silver stock in this. It's not supposed to be there. No, it's not linked. That's why. That's why. Damn it. Yeah, this might be a short episode because I need to go get some groceries here for too long. Stretching out. Might try to play again later today, though. In fact, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and end it now. That way we don't have to worry about a conduit explosion. So when I get back, man, I'm just going to continue doing what we're doing here. And try to figure out a way, too, to, like, diagonally incorporate a wall to act as kind of like a, I don't know, a point of reference to make the rest of the other diagonal walls in the fluidity of the ring circles. Wait, I'm babbling. Okay, let's save it. Save skip. All right, man. I will see you at some point later today, probably. Have a good one.